All right, welcome to the latest Libertas video. Today we're going to be continuing our video on the Bayek Gauntlet from Assassin's Creed Origins. We are in our second phase, which is going to be transferring the template that we created out of foam onto the leather. So here's a quick look again at the template that we have put together, and there's the leather that it's all wrapped up that we're going to be transferring a majority of these pieces to. We'll be doing multiple versions of this in a thinner leather, which is not here right now, and this in the suede. I'm going to go forward with the suede look. So ideally what you're going to do is just take all of this stuff and lay it out on the leather in a way that is going to be most space efficient. And what I mean by that is kind of like putting together a little puzzle, because you don't want to just be wasting a whole bunch of leather. So you can see an example of stuff that I've used over here where I tried to keep a good amount of spacing used. Granted, there's some imperfections in the leather that I was trying to avoid, so you can see that there. But ideally what I'll do is I'll try to get similar curves put together so that I can use the least amount of leather so that I have more for future projects. So we're going to move forward with this. We'll lay everything out, try to find the best spacing for it, and then we're going to take it over to the cutting mat. So you'll need a cutting mat if you're going to do something similar like this. And I'll be using a tracing tool and modeling spoon. That's what this is. Take it out real quick. And that's what it looks like. You have this little, almost looks like a ballpoint pen, just made out of metal. And then you have your modeling tool right here. But we'll be using this to draw on the leather as we go along, and then we'll cut it out with a standard box cutter. So that's going to be pretty simple. Now, when you're going to do this, one thing that I learned, my brother-in-law taught me, is that you want to actually trace it onto the front side of the leather, which might seem counterintuitive. But ideally what that will do is give you a good line that you'll cut, and you'll be cutting into the leather from here. If you were to try to do this from the back side, one, you probably wouldn't get that good of a line to trace. And two, once you cut into it from the back side, you have no idea really which way the cut is going to go through the leather. So this way you can at least make sure that the front side, which is what is going to be viewed by everyone else, will at least look good. And the back side doesn't matter as much. So that's how we're going to go about this, and we'll get started. So. All right, and we're back. Of course, the camera shut off about right at the portion where I was going to start the last template being transferred over. So everything's transferred to the leather now. We're going to start cutting it out and move forward. You might have noticed that we didn't do two portions of the template. Basically the lower portion, which is going to wrap around the arm. Like I said, I'm going to do that in suede, so I didn't transfer it over to the armoring leather. And the same thing with the little buckle system. There's going to be buckles and straps, and those are a lot easier just to do on the thinner leather. So I don't, probably could see it in the background, maybe not. But anyway, we'll transfer it over to there. No real need to show you how to do that. So sit back, we're going to start chopping up the leather. So here we go. All right, so we finished up transferring the template to the armoring leather, and we'll take a quick look at it, cut it all out, and here you can see a just rough mock-up of it. Only issue that I really ran into, of course, is my curves. It's a little harder to do with this straight blade, but that's to be expected. And of course, when I do that, I inevitably end up coming in at an angle. So that's why we're cutting in from the top and not from the bottom. So anyway, not too big of a deal for me, since once we're done dyeing the leather, we're going to go back in and bevel all the edges, so make it look nice and neat and clean. But anyway, we're going to be transferring now this onto the suede material, and then this onto the thinner leather material. So that's the next process, and once we're done with that, we'll check back in again. So see you then. All right, so we have now finally finished up the cutting out of the leather. This is the tedious process of leather making. So now it is behind us. Of course, you've seen as I finished up with the suede and with the thinner leather, we have mocked everything up. So let's take a look. Here's the initial template, and here is the final leather cut out. Of course, now you can start seeing this is really starting to take shape as its final form of being an actual gauntlet and not just foam. So very cool. Of course, you saw with these tiny little templates how easy it is to take one and turn it into 6 really quickly. So if that's just a recommendation, if you're moving forward with doing any leather projects or any projects in general where you're taking a template, if you have anything that's of the same size and shape, don't worry about making 6 templates. Just make one and copy it over when you're doing your leather. So kind of see a little bit more definition with the gauntlet. You can definitely tell it's a lot more thick, and this is going to be pretty imposing as we go along. So it's getting pretty exciting. I mean, this is the cool part where all of a sudden you start seeing your vision come to life. And of course, we have plenty more work to do on this. Starting off, probably the next process will be starting to bevel the edges, or I should say etching in the edges and any more detail that needs to be in the leather before we dye it. So like I said, this is getting to be where the project really starts taking shape, and where you get real excited because this thing's looking a lot more like a real gauntlet. So I think that's going to do it for today's episode on this process. So definitely check back in as we continue along with this project. But until then, we'll see you on the next Libertas video.